It is Fantasy Premier League time. Mark Donaldson and Kay Murray here. Let's first start by telling you that last week, we warned you, Mark warned you to put Cristiano Ronaldo into your squads. If you didn't do that, that's not our fault. We did say don't come complaining to us. So let's give a quick review then, if you will, Mark, of everything that went down last week.
Do you know what I was most pleased about last week, Kay? I actually listened to myself for the first time because I can go on and it just becomes boring at times. But I did listen and I put Ronaldo in my wild card squad, but I went a wee bit different. So I don't have Salah and I don't have Bruno, but I've got Lukaku and I have got Cristiano Ronaldo. I wasn't bringing Cristiano in and not captaining him at home to Newcastle. Thankfully, it paid dividends. He might have had a hat-trick, but I was more than happy not to be too greedy. And it was a decent start for Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll get on to what to do with him going forward and when to captain him later on. However, Lukaku doing the business again. Nice of him to score another one late on against Villa. So he got the job done. I would struggle to have any team, Kay, without Trent Alexander-Arnold. Had him right from the start, kept him through the wild card. And for me, he's just someone that you have to have. He's got so much ability and he can create, he can assist, and he can score as well. So he was a staple. The way that I'm kind of looking at this, Kay, is that I think there's so much value across the midfield, whether it's mid-price or even slightly higher than that, that you can afford to go with a couple of big-priced attackers. And that's what I did. Okay, Mikel Antonio didn't work, but he was over 55% owned when he was sent off. He's now under 50% owned. I'm not doing anything with him. I'm keeping him. He is bargain material at the price that he is. You know what? That's why you've got bench spots. You keep him on your bench. It's Man United. He might not have scored anyway. So if I'm you, I'm keeping Mikel Antonio. That's what I'm doing. And we'll see going forward. But I'm pretty happy. It was above the average score. Cristiano Ronaldo doing the business for me last week.
Nice stuff. So you mentioned a few things there, whether to keep certain players or not. Going forward, what are you looking at doing this week? Is there a free transfer in there?
Yeah, there's one, but I don't know if I'm going to use it because I always think when you use a wild card, you should look further ahead than just the week that you're making the wild card. Maybe do it for 3, 4, 5 weeks ahead, knowing fine well that you might not need to make a transfer. Obviously, if you have a couple of suspensions or injuries, those with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Mikel Antonio this week might have to make a tweak. But for the squad that I have right now, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. Let's take a look at the team for this week. And the goalkeeper and the 3 defenders all have home games. So I'm happy enough with that. I know that Reguilon's playing against Chelsea, but Spurs have got a decent record at home against some of the bigger sides. Midfield, I might be looking at Benrahma going forward to maybe consider getting rid of him. However, he's in the team this week. And I'm going double up for Leeds, Jack Harrison and Rafinha. They might have defensive issues, but I think middle to front, they're doing all right. Now, when I sent the screenshot over to Tom, the producer, I had Ronaldo as captain. However, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to stay with that decision. You know what it's like, making decisions, you kind of change your mind or whatever. I might swap and go Diogo Jota as my captain and Ronaldo as my vice-captain. So it's home against Crystal Palace or at West Ham. Decent fixtures for them both. That might be the one that I'm considering. I may go with Diogo Jota, who will not be highly owned, I don't think, as a captain. So that might be my differential. The only other thought I'm having this week, Kay, is whether I bring in Demarai Gray, who's got some good fixtures coming up for Everton. I got rid of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I didn't want to, but I got lucky. Unfortunately for him, he was injured. I still think I need some Everton representation. So if I do make a transfer, it's likely to be Demarai Gray for Jack Harrison, although I'm hoping Leeds with their fixtures coming up. I've gone for the double up middle to front. So that's what I'm thinking this week for the squad that I've got.
Oh, but you might change your mind because I remember that you were saying you'd likely captain Ronaldo most weeks, but it just shows how people do second guess themselves and have to change their minds often in this game. Okay, you want to talk about an ultra differential looking at midfielders to close out our chat this week, Mark?
Yeah, the reason I'm doing this, Kay, is because as I mentioned earlier, if I'm going with Ronaldo and I'm going with Lukaku as 2 top premium high-priced attackers, then it's going to be difficult to get a Salah in there as well or a Bruno Fernandes in as well. So here's a look at some of the players that I'm considering in midfield who are less than 5% owned. And if they go nuts and you have them, then you will climb up the table and your arrows will be green. So this is what we have this week for low-owned, ultra-differential midfielders. The one that really stands out for me is Sadio Mane. I know he hasn't scored as many points as Mohamed Salah this season. However, 2.7% owned at the time of recording, compared with Salah's 54.4% owned. So if you want to be brave, you might have to hide behind the sofa when Liverpool are playing. But if Mane scores and Salah doesn't, you're in clover. Riyad Mahrez, again, if you want to play Pep, Guardiola, Lotto or Lottery, then good luck with that. He seems to have his three up front right now that he likes when he's playing Grealish on the left-hand side, he's playing Ferran Torres through the middle, and he's playing Gabriel Jesus coming in from the right. However, with the Champions League now up and running, I think he will utilise his squad. So that would be a gamble. That's why Riyad Mahrez is only 3.8% owned. I love Wilfried Zaha at 6.9 million, owned by just 4.9% of managers in the game. And the other ones I mentioned, Jack Harrison earlier, Conor Gallagher. He's one of these not very sexy picks, but he's on some set plays. He scores as well for Crystal Palace, and they had a really good result against Spurs. So don't be a snob. Don't turn your nose up just because he plays for Crystal Palace and he's called Conor Gallagher. These are the type of players that can win you mini leagues and going forward, shoot you up the table if he does well. And the other one I've got is Andros Townsend for Everton, because I was amazed at seeing he's only 1% owned. When you've got Demarai Gray, who I like, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but it looks like someone like Andros Townsend, who was among the goals last week, could be someone who could be an ultra differential. So there's some good choices in there for your midfield going forward. If you decide to go with two big boys up front, like Ronaldo and Lukaku, and money might be a little bit too tight in midfield, there's plenty other options if you want to take a gamble.
Yeah, the moral of the story is don't be a snob.
I wouldn't know what that is. I'm not posh.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.